Good morning to you. My name is Jim Bennett, and I'm the old gardener. I've been gardening for almost 80 years. But welcome to my garden. I'm glad you stopped by today because I've got some new tips for you, some things I want to share with you. I think you're going to enjoy. I live in South Carolina, in the central part of South Carolina, down near Georgia. It is November the 6th, 2020. The election is behind us, and so are all those doggone commercials for political commercials. Everybody running for something. I'm glad that's behind us. Now, I'm in my garden. I've been gardening here in South Carolina for about 40 years. And we had the earliest frost that I've ever seen. It came on November the 2nd, I think, out where I live. And normally, I have seen it hold off for frost till as late as December the 12th or December the 15th. It's not unusual for us to have frost in middle or late November, but the frost came early. So my first tip is keep an eye on the weather. My second tip for you is that there are plants in your garden that you need to get out. You need to pull them up and get them out of your garden. Plants like this okra here. Okra is a host for nematodes. And let me pull one of these plants up for you and see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay? This is a okra stem. And it's an easy one to tell if you've got nematodes in your garden, because you see how this root is just decayed and rotten. It's just falling apart. But here's the reason that you want to get it out of there, out of the soil, is because the nematodes and other pests will overwinter in this soil in this particular place. Now, here are some nematode knots here. You can see them, how badly the roots are eaten up with these nematodes. They live inside the root. They are a microscopic little animal, little worm, that live off the nutrients of the plant. They compete for the water and the nutrients. So you need to get those out. Now, the okra can't be tilled up. It's very fibrous. It's very kin to jute, like they make rope out of. So you need to be very careful and get this out of your garden. And what I do is I plant a cover crop. There's several cover crops that will deter or even kill the nematodes. And one of them that I use is canola, or in the South, same name, the same thing, is called rape, or rape, some people call it. But here is an example of where it's been planted. The roots kill the nematodes and other undesirable pests. But earthworms and things like that love to come in and grow where this stuff is planted. And as you can see, it looks a lot like turnips or mustard greens. It's very edible, delicious, mild flavor like turnips, but maybe just a little milder. Most people love these greens. I use them in salads and everything else, but they do two things very well. They get rid of the nematodes. The roots go deep down in the soil, and they bring the calcium and those things up into this friable area that we call topsoil. It's a great way to improve your soil. Here's some more tips for you. Another tip for you: even though the frost has damaged plants like peppers, the pepper itself in a light frost is not hurt at all. Peppers can withstand refrigeration. And so you can come out and pick these peppers that are ready for harvest, even though the plant has already been killed by the frost. Some beautiful peppers here. So if you have a light frost, even a light freeze, you can still harvest a lot of things from your garden. Seeds from okra pods are easy to save. Once the seeds, the pod has dried out, you can remove it but this one's not quite dried out enough. You need it to be a little drier. And you can shuck the seeds right out of it. They're like BBs. They're easy to save, and you need to keep them in a jar, an airtight container. And I keep mine in the refrigerator. Now, when you're pruning your fruit trees, or if you have limbs that fall out of the trees, save them and use them as support or trellises for your early peas or beans that you're planting. Peas especially. Those sugar pod peas are delicious. And they'll just climb up these old limbs and stems that you've cut out, the leaves have gone. You're pruning them, you might as well get something useful from them. And believe it or not, depending on the variety, I've even seen some of them root while they're in the ground. Here's another tip for you. When you see this symbol, this AAS symbol, it stands for All American Selections. And that means that this particular seed has been approved and has been tested all over the United States and North America. And that it has been found to be very productive in whatever area it is grown. From Idaho to South Carolina, this variety and any variety that you see, this AAS symbol, it's a winner. And it tells you that it is a most productive and desirable seed, and you can count on it to do great things in your garden. They're tested by horticulturists and farmers, and they write reports. So you see that symbol? Trust it. That's a good seed, a good variety to plant in your garden. Here's another tip. These are some of our helpers on our little farm. Some of our chickens, they're molting right now. That means they're losing their feathers, getting ready for the winter feathers, the down and all that to come in to keep them warm. But we turn them out from time to time, and they do an amazing job in keeping the pest eaten. Pests like stink bugs. Man, they will eat those things up. Even a few fire ants, they'll sit there and peck them and eat them. But we only have 15 chickens. We get maybe 2 dozen eggs a week from them. And normally they lay very well. But this time of the year, when they're in their molting season, they may not lay anything for 3 or 4 days or even up to 2 weeks. But as soon as they get through diverting that calcium to feathers, they'll start laying again. Enjoy these things, and not only as they go through the garden and they eat the stink bugs and the other pests, they kind of cultivate it. You see how they're scratching and moving and doing things and looking for something to eat? We'll let them out in a few minutes and they'll go right to the garden. Now here are a few more tips for you. Easy things that you can do if you like unusual plants. You can grow a pineapple. I don't care where you live. From Fairbanks to Miami, you can grow them. And when you go to the grocery store, here's an easy way to tell if they're going to grow. Just peel these leaflets back at the bottom and you can begin to see roots. Buy those, buy this one and bring it home, let it ripen, and then you don't have to cut the top out. All you have to do is twist it like a light bulb. It will unscrew. See that? It just popped right out. Don't endanger yourself with a knife. And then all you do is you peel off these little rootlets, these little, not rootlets, but little leaves of the pineapple down below, and you can begin to see some roots that have formed. And the pineapple is really a bromeliad, which is nothing more than an air plant. And all you have to do is to take this pineapple stub that you have here and stick it into the soil. Now you can't plant it outside, but you can put it into a potting soil container. Let's see, where did I do it? Like this. Just push it in, and now when you water it in the center, and it will begin to sprout and grow. You have to keep it in the house near a sunny window, but it makes a decent house plant. Now, this is going to sound like a long time, but it makes a decent plant, and it's enjoyable. It takes about 18 months, and a pineapple will form. Just as sure as the sun rises, you'll get a pineapple from this. Here's another one, celery. This time of the year, Christmas, Thanksgiving, we're using a lot of celery. And you can take a celery stub that has got the center part left. You've used all the large celery stalks, and just shove it down into some soil. It will root and produce you a new celery plant if kept in the right size container. Now, as I was pruning my lime trees, I have a large selection of limes and lemon trees. As I was pruning them, I have devised this little setup here of where I keep them into some water. You see, these have rooted. Now, this is a container that goes down into an old Folgers can, and it sits in there perfectly, keeps it moist, and these plants, these cuttings root. I'm always giving away limes and lemons to my friends as they come and visit, and rosemary, because it roots very easily. And then in the spring and the summer, sweet basil and other herbs that they'd really enjoy. Anyway, these are a few of our tips for this week. This is the old gardener, Jim Bennett, saying, do those things that you know are right and will work for your family, your friends, and this country. It's never been any more important than now. And if you would, please like this and give me a thumbs up. I'm trying very hard for an old gardener to help you have the best garden ever. God bless you. We'll see you in church this Sunday, or synagogue, or your place of worship. Those things are so important to everyone.